Opening. Welcome to the Backward Path, a channel that explores how reverse thinking can change the way we live every single day. Not in abstract theories, not in complicated lectures, but in small, relatable stories that feel real and close to our lives. At the heart of these stories is Emma Johnson, a 16-year-old high school girl from a quiet suburban town in America. At first glance, she looks like any other teenager. Messy ponytail, oversized sweaters, sneakers worn from too many walks to school. But there is something that sets her apart. When others rush forward, Emma pauses. When the crowd takes the safe road, she dares to turn around. For Emma, thinking backward is not strange. It's a way of discovering new doors in everyday situations. Through Emma's ordinary days, you'll see how reverse thinking can transform simple daily struggles into surprising breakthroughs. Story 17. An unconventional presentation. Emma Carter, a 16-year-old with long brown hair usually tied in a low ponytail and round glasses, walked into her history class wearing a light blue sweater featuring a cute cat design. Normally, Emma was quiet, keeping to herself and diligently taking notes. But today, her heart raced. It was her turn to present. The class had already settled into their usual patterns. Sarah, the serious girl with straight blonde hair and a beige cardigan, presented with charts and figures. Ryan, the boy with a buzz cut and wearing a gray hoodie, played a video with explosions that made the entire class burst into laughter. Everyone followed the formula: slides, numbers, and reading aloud. Emma stood at the back of the room, gripping her small notebook tightly. Her mind drifted to the assignment from the night before, when she had unexpectedly noticed her father's old khaki jacket hanging on the chair. Instead of making a typical slide presentation, she had decided to write a battlefield report, something no one in the class had ever thought of. When Mr. Johnson, the middle-aged teacher with salt and pepper hair wearing a plaid shirt, called her name, Emma took a deep breath. She threw on her father's khaki jacket and walked up to the front, causing a ripple of surprised whispers across the class. June 6, 1944. I, a young reporter, found myself in Normandy, Emma began, her voice trembling at first, but gradually growing more confident. She described the sound of waves, the blasts of bombs, and suddenly shouted, "Boom!" causing Ryan to jump. The class chuckles, but quickly fell silent as Emma continued. They weren't just numbers in a history book. They were young men just like us. The room became heavy with emotion. Sarah looked up, her eyes focused intently. Lily, her best friend with curly blonde hair, wearing a red and black plaid skirt, smiled gently, encouraging her with a silent nod. When Emma finished, the class erupted in applause. Mr. Johnson smiled warmly. "Emma, you've just brought history to life in this classroom." Emma blushed, clutching her notebook to her chest, but inside, her heart soared. For the first time, by daring to go against the crowd, she wasn't just nervous anymore. She had shown. Lesson learned. Emma's story is not just a simple presentation, but a lesson in courage and creativity. Despite a classroom full of traditional and safe methods, Emma chose to go against the grain, showcasing her uniqueness through an emotional and creative approach. She didn't just convey information, but also stirred emotions, making her audience feel the history come alive. This shows that sometimes daring to break the rules and try something new can lead to unexpected and meaningful results. The key lesson Emma conveyed was confidence in oneself and the power of creativity. Instead of following the beaten path, she chose a presentation style that left a personal imprint, making her presentation not only impressive, but also helping the audience connect with the deeper truths of history. This highlights the difference between following the crowd and standing up for what you believe in. It encourages us to dare to challenge, dare to create, and dare to be different, because only then can we truly shine. Story 18: The Cookie at the Fundraiser. The high school courtyard was filled with the scent of chocolate and butter. Long tables were neatly arranged, each loaded with identical trays of chocolate chip cookies. Emma Carter, wearing a loose pink hoodie and jean shorts, propped her chin up and looked around. "All the tables are exactly the same," she thought. "If I set mine up just like this, no one will even notice." Mrs. Brown, the parent volunteer overseeing the group, walked by. With her round figure and green plaid dress, she frowned when she saw Emma cutting up small pieces of paper. "Emma, don't waste your time. People just want to eat the cookies," she said. But Emma smiled. She started writing little stories to tuck into the cookie bags. "This cookie has magic powers. Eat it and you'll get an A in math. This cookie will give you the courage to confess your feelings." Josh, the tall guy in a basketball jersey, walked by and saw her writing. He burst out laughing. "That's awesome! Let me add a few funny ones." He quickly scribbled, "Eat this cookie, your crush will text you first within 24 hours. When the booth opened, students gathered around Emma's table, curious to see what was different. A younger girl shouted, "I got a lucky story!" And just like that, a crowd gathered eager to buy cookies just to read the secret inside. While the other tables still had plenty of cookies left, Emma's booth ran out after just an hour. Josh winked at her, grinning. "Told you, we won." Mrs. Brown stood off to the side, initially skeptical, then sighed and smiled. "Emma, you've taught me something today. Sometimes what people remember isn't the taste, but the emotion that comes with it." Emma held the empty cookie box, feeling a sense of joy. By daring to think differently, turning an ordinary cookie into a story, she had turned the fundraiser into an unforgettable memory. Lesson learned. Emma's story is a lesson in creativity and daring to experiment. Sometimes we can get caught up in old patterns and established ways of doing things, but it's the courage to think differently and try something new that makes a real difference. Emma didn't just see the cookie as a treat, she turned it into a story, an experience that intrigued and engaged everyone. This shows that at times, daring to break the rules and try something new can lead to unexpected and meaningful results. The key takeaway is that success doesn't always come from grand gestures, but often from small actions filled with inspiration. What truly matters is how we connect with others and create emotions. Sometimes all it takes is a little creativity to make things special. Always look for ways to innovate. Don't be afraid to break the old rules, and remember that often what people will remember is not the complexity of what we do, but the feelings and stories we create. Story 19. The Unexpected Basketball Game. In the locker room before the game, the girls' basketball team was buzzing with excitement. Emma Carter tied her hair into a tight bun, wearing a black bomber jacket over her uniform. She laced up her white Converse sneakers, her heart pounding with anticipation. Coach Miller, a solidly built man in a green polo shirt, stood by the board, drawing up plays. thoughtful. "The other team defends well, so we need to play fast and score early," he said, looking directly at the team. "Exactly," excited. "We'll just run faster. They won't be able to catch up." Sophie, the fiery-haired teammate, slapped the basketball and shouted. The whole team nodded in agreement, but Emma sat quietly, her eyes focused on the diagram. "What if they're already prepared for a fast game? We'll fall right into their trap," Emma thought to herself. The game began, and just as Emma feared, the opposing team easily blocked every fast break. They continued to score, and the crowd in Emma's school grew increasingly disappointed. During the halftime break, Sophie, sweaty and frustrated, pounded her fist into the ball. Annoyed, "We need to run faster," Emma took a deep breath. Calmly, "No, we need to do the opposite. Hold the ball longer, pass more, make them lose their patience." The room fell silent. Sophie frowned, but the team captain, Megan, a tall, composed girl, looked at Emma and nodded. Determined, "Let's try it." In the second half, Emma's team changed their strategy. They passed the ball continuously, taking their time before attacking. The other team, used to a fast-paced game, started to get disoriented, committing fouls. The crowd roared with excitement as Emma's team closed the gap in the score. Sophie, who had been skeptical at first, now smiled and said, surprised, "Emma, you were right." In the final moments, Emma passed the ball perfectly to Megan, who made the game-winning shot. The entire gym erupted in celebration as Emma's school cheered. Coach Miller slapped Emma on the back, smiling proudly. "Today you proved that sometimes, to win, you have to go against the crowd." Emma smiled, sweat streaming down her face. She knew that by trusting in reverse thinking, she had helped change the outcome of the game. Lesson learned. Emma's story is a clear example of how victory doesn't always come from following the crowd, but from daring to think differently and doing the opposite. In a world where people often follow familiar rules, Emma dared to come up with a different approach, completely changing her team's play style and securing their victory. This is an important lesson about creativity and perseverance, encouraging us to challenge traditional methods, seek new paths, and often it's these differences that lead to success. The key takeaway is never to be afraid to do things differently. Stepping out of your comfort zone, thinking outside the box, and experimenting with new ideas can yield unexpected results. Only when you dare to be different and trust your own way can you make breakthroughs and achieve success. Ending. Emma never set out to be different. She didn't wake up each morning deciding to rebel against the world. But each time she faced a challenge, she noticed something. The easy path, the one most people rush to take, rarely led to something meaningful. In the classroom, her classmates stuck to PowerPoints and bullet points, safe and predictable. Emma flipped it around, stepping into character. And her story lit up the room. At the bake sale, everyone fought to compete head-to-head, shouting louder, pushing harder. Emma went the opposite way, quieter, more thoughtful, and it turned her small corner into the most successful table of the day. On the court, when her teammates drowned in silence, the natural choice was to stay quiet, to follow the hush. Emma broke the silence. Her one voice carried, and it lifted the entire team. This is what reverse thinking looks like in everyday life. It doesn't require genius, power, or money. It requires courage to pause when everyone runs, to turn left when everyone turns right, to ask thoughtful, "What if?" when everyone says, annoyed, "That's just the way it is." Emma's decisions remind us that the crowd's choice is not always the best choice. Sometimes the backward step is actually a step forward. And maybe, if we dare to try it in our own lives, in school, at work, at home, we'll discover that reverse thinking can transform not only our problems, but also who we are.